Good morning, precious souls. I haven't done a Facebook Live in a minute, right? Remember when I did it every day for the month of August, and I haven't done it since then. So today I wanted to share with you a few things that have been on my mind, and I wanted to share with you certain truths. Hi there. I wanted to share with you certain truths that I'm coming across to help us in our journey as leaders. So I've told you repeatedly, if you are in my orbit, you're a leader. You like to lead. You have people that are looking up to you. You have people you're influencing. You have people whose ear you get to, right? So I want you to consider yourself as a leader. And the primary thing of leadership is self-awareness. You have to carry people, you have to have a task, but self-awareness is what will help you be the best possible leader. Now, one of the dimensions of self-awareness is knowing who you are and what's going on inside. And one of the themes I keep seeing repeated in my life and in the life of clients, good morning, precious soul, Mr. Musician galore. The thing that I keep coming across is this thing of being a wounded healer. So in my world, I do a lot of stuff with people in ministry and people that are faith-based and nonprofit type stuff and academics. And a lot of times what we find is that who we are has to show up in our work for us to live deeply satisfying and fulfilling lives and respond to this call of spirit, right? So today I want to talk to you about wounded healer. It's a good teaching moment. Hold on, it's going to be, something deep. So the wounded healer is a term created by the psychologist Carl Jung. And it's the idea that states that an analyst, a person who's a therapist or something, is compelled to treat patients because the analyst himself is wounded, right? The idea has Greek mythology origins, okay? So in Greek mythology, the centaur Chiron was a wounded healer after being poisoned with an incurable wound by one of Hercules' arrows. Jung mentioned the Chiron myth, wounding by one's own arrow, right? So for Jung, a good half of every treatment that probes at all deeply consists in the doctor examining himself. It is in his own hurt that gives a measure of his power to heal. This and nothing else is the meaning of the Greek myth of the wounded physician. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. If I'm an accountant, right? I can put myself out there, say, okay, I'm going to do your books, and I can do your books. But if you've been in business for 5 minutes, you know that the math is not what you need. You need that. You pay for that. But what you need is strategy and someone who can help you think through what's going on, right? And someone who can help you avoid pitfalls. Most people that can help you avoid pitfalls have fallen in the pit themselves, and they got themselves out of it. And that's the kind of person you want that can help you prevent it. And if and when you do fall in the pit, they can help you get out of it. That's a wounded healer. That's an accountant. I used Jung from the therapy perspective, but even a pastor who's not telling you about his truth and how he failed and how he didn't hear from God, that's a wounded healer when he can tell you that and tell you how he overcame that and heard from God. A musician who says, I remember playing chopsticks, ba, 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 and how I was frustrated, and how the discipline of playing music every day for years, I felt I would never succeed. And then finally, one day, boom, it was there, right? That is a wounded healer. So a leader, let's talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk said he wants to put Puerto Rico on solar panels. Elon Musk is from South Africa. Elon Musk has lived through some things in his life that gives him the depth of compassion and empathy to be able to think futuristically about a place like Puerto Rico that's completely shut off from electricity right now. And so it is when we look at our wounds and we're no longer wounded by them, and we speak to these wounds and say, how do we translate this into something that heals other people and heals the world? That is when you see yourself in this capacity as wounded healer. That is when your calling speaks to you, and your this pull, this gravitational pull that life has towards you begins to speak to you. So I want you to think of, where are you a wounded healer, and how can you be more transparent and open about your woundedness? You see, the great illusion of leadership is to think that a person can be led out of the desert by someone who's never been there. So if you go to a desert or a wild trail, what do you want to do? Do you want to go with someone who just has a map and has never been there? Or do you want to go with someone who you can walk in their footsteps to get to the other side of the desert, the forest, or whatever? And I want you to think of yourself both as the follower and as the leader. Now, the other thing, Henri Nouwen, he's a wonderful Catholic priest who's written so much about pastoral care things, just an amazing creature. If you've never studied the work of Henri Nouwen, please do. He wrote a book about wounded healer. He said, the wounded healer, ministry in contemporary society. And you know, for me, ministry is not church and church building. I am a minister to the business world, to people trying to do things in a secular realm. So ministry speaks to me. I'm not ordained. I'm not putting myself out there as that. That scares me to pieces. But I bring healing and wholeness and divinity and spirituality to people's work life, right? So that's what I do, and why I say that's a form of ministry for me. The man who articulates the movement of his inner life, who can give names to his varied experiences, need no longer be a victim of himself, but is able slowly and consistently to remove the obstacles that prevent the spirit from entering. He is able to create space for him whose heart is greater than his, whose eyes are more than his, and whose hands can heal more than his. First of all, Henri Nouwen was not in that time when we're sensitive to gender bias, so he uses him. But he says he, meaning you and me, are able to create space for him. Him, capital H, meaning God the Creator, God the Sustainer, and God the Redeemer, right? So when we move from our obstacles to prevent that and work with spirit, we create space within for God, whose heart is greater than us, whose eyes are greater than ours, and whose hands can heal more than ours, right? So our being a wounded healer creates space for the divine to come in and begin to orchestrate things for us. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. How are you creating this heart space, right, for healing to come forth? And let's use that term healing very broadly. I want you to bring in your experiences, and for this healing to be what the Jews call tikkun olam, healing the world. God sends us to do that. I really believe that. When you're wounded, there's a reason why. So I want us to begin to translate our experiences from places of pain to places of wholeness, to places where we give. One of my core values is compassion and love. Love gives. Every day love gives. Love gives, even if it's a smile, even if it's a compliment, a hug, an action, a word of affirmation. That's an act of giving. And so how do you turn this woundedness into something that gives and creates value in the marketplace, in the world, in the church, right? In your nonprofit, in your music? And so I hope this has been beneficial to you. If you have an issue with this area of wounded healing that needs to take place in you for you to be more effective as a leader, you know where to find me. Hit me up. Leave a comment. Give me feedback. Tell me what you think. Bless you.